What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Evolution Podcast. It's been a while since we created one of these. Just been super busy. But today we have a special guest, a really good friend of mine from day one, pretty much. We got Mr. Gill.
What's going on?
Will, if you'd like to introduce everybody, like what you do, who you are.
Yeah. So right now I'm a online fitness coach. That's like my main business that I do. And who am I?
Cool. Who is Mr. Gill?
I mean, look, like I actually started my company in 2015.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, you've been doing it way before me, really.
Yeah.
Will just kind of helped me get things started when online coaching wasn't really a thing. I feel like online coaching became a little bit more, I guess, mainstream over the past year with social media and like TikTok and all these influencers.
I think it was a thing.
Not as more
in different niches.
Yeah.
In different niches, right? Because actually that how I got into online fitness as well was I started in person, right?
Yeah.
But I always knew I wanted to do online.
Yeah.
Because I was watching guys like Kyle Lopez.
Okay.
In 2015, 2014. That's how I got into it, right? I started getting indoctrinated by that mentality around that time frame, and I was getting massively into it. He was preaching the online lifestyle. I was like, I really want that.
Yeah.
You know, so at that point was when I was getting into fitness out of a music background. I was going to a music school.
That's right. I remember I used to play the piano all the time.
Yeah, piano was my thing. Yeah, I was playing that hours a day, practicing, went to a music school. I wanted to be a video game composer. I was an absolute nerd.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of us were. I mean, I started with YouTube back in the day, playing video games, Minecraft, Happy Wheels.
Yeah.
I still have the YouTube videos up.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, we've been both building this for such a long time, and I think people think it happens overnight. I mean, it's definitely been a work in progress for so long. I mean, as humans, we're constantly evolving and developing, which will kind of touch base on a little bit on that whole like concept of not necessarily how, but who, right?
Yeah, who not how, right? You have to be the kind of person, man, woman, that will just get those results.
100%. You need to situate yourself, or at least think in the mind frame of what would X, Y, and Z do if they were in this position.
You have to act as it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's also like the thing about like acting as it's like act as if you're that person, but you have to genuinely start identifying.
Yeah, you need to become that person.
Yeah,
and that can be done through the execution of simple habits, simple patterns, and that accumulates and compounds. And before you know it, you're a completely different person.
And your faults, you have to go thought. And this is something I've been talking a lot about recently and thinking a lot about, which is we never monitor our faults, right? But in reality, every idea comes to fruition through our faults. It's the first thing. It's the first thing that happens, right? Like this table was built off a fault. Someone failed to build it. Why do we not pay attention to our faults when in reality, everything else is the byproduct of the faults, right?
I agree.
That's the creation. Yeah. Something that's not technically real in this outside world is what's creating it, right? So why don't we monitor it as much? Because it's so available.
Yeah, abundance, right?
If I told you right now and I said, Alice, you only have 1 hour a day that you're allowed to think.
Exactly.
Do you think you would monitor your faults a lot more?
Oh, 100%. It's because you're operating in more minimum resources, right?
Exactly.
You want to maximize what isn't so abundant.
Exactly. That's how we're wired, right? There's scarcity behind it. But the thing is because we have our thoughts so available, we take it for granted.
What is that? It's kind of like breathing, right? Like there's actually so many complex components behind breathing, and how that impacts like thoughts and performance. But because we don't think about it, like, the whole mouth to nose breathing and how that impacts sleep, again, it's one thing we take for granted.
And in reality, it's the thing responsible for everything.
For a lot of things, yeah.
So crazy. And like that's why it's like, at least
it's like drinking water. And like not enough people drink water.
My phone wallpaper is like things that I want to embody, like
not aware of
or yet, but right in the middle, it just says, what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
Because I know I check my phone a lot. Like this is another way, right? Like what you said, the habits, that has to be there.
100%.
But you also have to have reminders to keep you in check, right? So that's why I know I'm going to be...
It's so little, right? But it's, again, the compounding effect.
Exactly. Like it might
still subliminal, but you keep looking at it. And again, it's that whole idea of manifestation and almost embodying that concept.
Yeah. And you check your phone, you're constantly asking yourself, you're saying, what are you thinking about? And like, what am I thinking about? And it's just a reminder to monitor again and refine. We'll never be perfect, but the more you can do that,
The better, yeah, exactly. And you just keep getting better each time. It's always about identifying flaws within the system and then implementing solutions. And from there, you are able to redesign, reiterate, and become a better version. It's as simple as that, right? It's this concept of like constant refinement, constant improvement. And through, a year, 2 years, 3 years worth of continual practice, you just evolve. And you almost look back and think, oh, wow, like who even was that person 3 years ago, right? Tell them the story of how we met, Will. Because I think that's very interesting, and this shows the importance of presentation and branding.
It's so crazy. This wouldn't be real if it wasn't for presentation.
Exactly.
It actually wouldn't even be a thing.
And that's the power of branding.
That's the power of branding. Yeah. That's the power of how you present yourself. Right? The way that I met Alex was at a bar. It was like a night bar.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're very different people back then. We prioritize different things.
But I mean, hey, if we didn't do those things, we would have never met.
Exactly, right? Alex was dressed real nice. Like, he had a look
very different.
It was like father-son kind of vibe, right? It was like,
even though it wasn't fathers-sons.
Turtleneck, it was in shape too, right? Very well in shape. Nice turtleneck, nice chinos, just like really solid fit.
Clean hair.
Like, this guy presented himself. And so to me, as someone as well who like had ambition, I also like really respected that too.
But what were your initial thoughts when you first saw me?
There was not like a specific thought. It was more impression. It was like, I want to know this guy.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like, I want to know this guy. Like, when you see people of value, you want to know them, right? Because you know their value.
But it's interesting because you looked at value from the sense of presentation. And if I told you how much that outfit was worth, it was easily less than $150 from head to toe.
Yeah, but you looked like $1 million guy.
Exactly.
Right? And that's why presentation matters, because it gets your foot in the door.
Branding.
It gets your foot in the door. You get a better chance than someone else. It's just how it is. Like, when people say it's not about the looks, and it gives you a foot in the door.
You need to look the part.
We judge off first impressions, right? It happens whether you like it or not, right?
It's a sad truth.
It's just the truth, right? I went and spoke to Alex because he presented himself a certain way, and that was the start of a relationship. That's why you should take care of how you dress, how you take care of your body, right?
The way you speak, your energy. Your presentation.
You should have a standard, like walking around in public, like trackies, hoodie, just like, sure, it's not the end of the world. You could do it stylish, right? There's actually ways to pull that off.
Oh, 100%.
But like, to the point where you don't take care of yourself, you're actively repelling people.
Because it's showing your habits, your behavior, your standard of quality. Not that I'm saying it's super important in the sense of, don't necessarily judge a book by its cover. Like, people can be super wealthy. Like, for example, I like to wear wife beaters and Oreo slides sometimes. I don't care. I wouldn't wear that in a room of millionaires, is what I'm saying, right?
You kind of have to earn that right to get away with it, because the strategy for weak people was to be stronger than you look, right? The strategy for strong people was to be weaker than you look.
Exactly.
Right?
That's a very good quote.
It's a very good quote, right? Because you want to play to win, right? So when you're weak, you don't want people to know you're weak, because then you'll prey. So you want to appear stronger, right? To get people not to.
And it's such animalistic behavior, right?
That's what I'm saying. But when you're strong, you don't want people to know you're strong, because they'll see what you might.
Because it'll be an advantage for you.
Exactly, right? So if they think you're weak, they don't know your strengths, and you have that in the back of your hand, right? When you're just starting out and you want to be around the right people and you're dressing like shit, you smell weird. You haven't done yet.
You're going to repel people.
Yeah, you have bad breath. And you're going up to someone, you're like, hey, nice to meet you. And they're just like repelled by your presence. You're not doing something fair. Going back, all right?
I've known you for about 4 years, right? Probably 4 years now. And I think out of everybody that I know, or at least still kind of present in my life, you've stuck around and you've seen the whole evolutionary process. And I've seen you grow and develop as well, and how much we've both changed, not just like mentally, physically, but also our energy, right? Yeah. Like, when I picked you up at the airport, what was the first thing you said?
Trying to be with thought, was it?
Yeah.
Where you were like, I was just like, you're like a robot.
Yeah.
You're like, just straight, like, job needs to be done. This is like, it's very like rigid, like procedural.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sequential and like step by step.
It's like literally everything's just like, this is what I'm doing. This is the regimen. This is the place that it has in the regimen. Like, you're very calculated.
Yeah.
You're very just like objective, focused and driven. There's like no emotion. It's just straight like,
it's like, this shit
isn't the way you're talking, because like he's like driving the wheel and it's just like, Yeah, so anyways, I've been thinking about, like, got to work on the website, we're going to create systems and processes for this. And I'm just like, bro, you're a robot.
Which is so interesting, right? Because you mentioned I used to like dick around a lot.
Yeah.
For the lack of better words.
Like, too much. And I was actually kind of annoyed.
Yeah, that's fair.
We linked up to do like a workout. It wasn't like doing the same thing. We were just like all going to,
Like he was in the space, I was in the space.
exactly.
We knew each other.
Yeah. And I remember I was training. I was like, I like to get in the headspace when I train. And Alex is just like, just running around, like playing with equipment, like maxing weight, having fun, like kind of being an idiot, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, this is so distracting.
Yeah.
Like it's having fun, but like didn't care, right? Like being like
So carefree at the time.
very carefree.
I was also so much less like, well, stress just was not as prominent.
Yeah. And that's the thing though. It's like, even when I look back to that time, I was a lot less stressed as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think like stressed, a lot less serious.
Yeah.
But because we had less responsibility.
And we were a lot younger as well. Like we were what? 20?
18, 19.
Oh, probably on 19.
Yeah, probably like 19, 20.
Yeah, 19 or 20. Yeah, like things was just, back then it was just about having fun, enjoying the present a little bit more, and not really caring. I mean, I think deep down, it's always been within us, especially you more so, a lot earlier than me. You've always kind of had that online coaching business, or have been in the fitness industry for a lot longer than I have. Yeah. At least at the very least locally, right? You've evolved so much as well. Just the way you manage your emotions and your thought process. You're a lot more calculated, and again, I would say a lot less emotional too, right? And just constantly worrying about the outcome and what needs to be done, but also how can I reframe my mindset, my thought process to become and execute the movements and tasks that needs to be done to become the person you want to be. Yeah, essentially, run.
Yeah, I think emotional control is like one of my strong words.
I agree. And I think I picked that up from you as well. I think the reason I became so emotionless was because I saw you and the way how you kind of removed emotion from situations.
Yeah, I attribute that to upbringing. Like, just like my family environment growing up forced me to become very good with my emotional control. Yeah, because there's a lot of emotional instability in my upbringing. And the only way to be sane through that process was to completely detach. And by allowing myself to get drawn into that, I would have literally gone insane. Yeah. And I didn't want to go insane, right? So my way of dealing and coping was a detachment. Yeah. And I think it really, really allowed me to become just very controlled, just learn to be creating my own little world.
A lot more emotionally stable as well.
Yeah, like just creating my own world, knowing how to get around like a different mindset, like because you're forced to shift your mindset, change the way that
you have to adapt, right?
Yeah. But I will say, bro, like you just fucking take your business to an absolute another level, with your dedication. Like I've never seen someone so dedicated to something. You are obsessed with every detail. Yeah, and I think that's your strong point. Like that, I have not seen anyone match. Honestly, I haven't. At least I don't know of anyone who's matched it.
I think because my standard of living and my standard of what a great life looks like is so fucking low. Like everything I have now, the car, the house, the fucking heater, being able to turn the heater on, which we fixed now. It's being able to do that. I'm like, wow, this life is amazing. I could have only dreamt of doing this. Because I guess growing up, my family we were never poor, but we were definitely not extremely abundant, And I think because that was my standard of this is a pretty good life. Everything I do, and like I guess my thresholds of what a day-to-day looks like is just so different. For example, when I told you I can just stay at home for 4 days and I'm good. Yeah. You're like, how do you not go crazy? Yeah. I'm like, I go crazy when I leave the house. I enjoy being at home. I enjoy doing the same thing. And I think what I have right now is so above and beyond what I ever could have imagined. So I think that makes quote unquote eating shit so easy because that's what you've been doing.
That's all we will already be there. Like it's normal. We're used to things not being good. So when we see an opportunity to make things great, we want to go above and beyond. That's why there's power. There's power to your pain.
Standardization is so important.
Literally, like you can turn your pain into your power. It's not something to be victimized by.
You can use that to leverage commitment to tasks.
Yes.
Because you are more committed to executing a task or an activity out of fear and out of almost negative emotion compared to positive feelings.
And if that's what drives you, use it.
But I think, and I'm practicing and wanting to learn how to do both, right?
Yeah.
Because sustainability is so important. That's one thing I really realized recently. It's like, yes, I've done this for 2 years, but how can I do it for another 20 years, right?
But that's where it organically shifts anyways, right? Like if right now what resonates with you is pain, use it.
Yeah, I leverage it really.
Yeah, because eventually things will become so good.
Yeah.
Like your reason will eventually change. Like when we got into training, massive insecurity. That is for me, it was massive insecurity. Why do I train now? It's not massive insecurity for me anymore, right? Like I don't know what it is for you. I'm saying, I mean, I don't really care. Yeah, like for me, it's like I just love the feeling of training now. I love lifting things and feeling the testosterone's mine, right?
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel regimented, and I feel like it gives me structure.
Yeah. Plus, also, it's like now it's more the philosophy for me. Like I agree. I feel like as a man, like I shouldn't be lifting shit.
I do like as a man, I pick shit up and I put it back down. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do for a living? I pick things up and I put them back.
Literally though. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do for fun? I pick things up, I put them back.
And that's interesting, right? So again, it's like being able to do something for a long time. You also have to enjoy the process.
Yeah,
you have to. And finding ways to integrate enjoyment. This is what you're saying to me earlier, right? Yeah. Integrate enjoyment within the process. And don't get me wrong, I love doing what I do, but sometimes this is why I don't do other shit. It's because when I do, I'm like, wow, this is so much fun.
It's actually fun.
Yeah, and then it makes
fun when you get results.
But then when you go back to the mundane day-to-day task, you're like, fuck, this is boring. But once you recondition, settle back in, this is fun again.
You have to just train your brain. Right?
That's conditioning.
It's all like what you got to do. First of all, you got to have a worthy ideal. There's success is the pursuit and progression towards a worthy ideal. It has to be something in your brain that it's worthy to work towards.
It's kind of like,
just got to progress towards it.
It's kind of like training legs, right? Give me a minute. Let me explain. It's like training legs. I fucking hate training legs. And I'm sure 90% of everybody does. But when I look in the mirror, my legs are huge. I love training legs.
Yeah.
Right? I'm willing to go through the shitty hack squats, the shitty squats, because I love that outcome.
Yeah.
Right? And some people say, don't do things for the result, enjoy the process. But when you enjoy the process because of the result, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like most people, if you don't like something, it's probably because you're not good at it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Just get better at it.
And the only way to get better at it is to do it more. Yeah. And then the enjoyment comes. Like I have a client, Alan, as well, right? When he started, because he's super busy, he hates training, right?
Yeah.
Got him working out just 2 times a week.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what we're doing. We're going to do like this and this. Like he's not enjoying it. But then like month after month, like he used to take calls a lot during the sessions for business. Yeah. And I was always make a joke. I'm like, you better have made a meal to be interrupting your lesson, right? 10% commission, please. And then he stopped taking them eventually. And I was like, why did you stop taking them? And he's like, because this is my time. He started to enjoy it. He started to enjoy it because every session I had like, there were number-based progression.
That's the thing. That's the thing. People set such large goals, but they don't have little checkpoints.
Yeah.
But they don't have little measurements of KPI or success to keep them going forward. And that's why a lot of people fall out the fitness game as well. They're looking at one variable, the scale, right? The scale. But they're not looking at, okay, how did my performance improve in comparison to the data accumulated from previous weeks?
So if you track incremental progression, you will get that dopamine hit. Exactly. Right? And in a way, it's like you're training yourself to just seek dopamine in those little things to keep you going. And eventually you do it long enough and the result and the passion will come.
Yeah. So if you're struggling to see results in whatever avenue in life you're trying to accomplish, have a big goal, but then have little goals along the way.
Yeah.
Right? And that just makes the process a lot more enjoyable. And it gives you that feeling, quote unquote, feeling of success.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because if you completely remove emotion and act purely on logistics and numbers, your behavioral pattern is going to be so different, right? If you're just like, this needs to be done to get to where I need to be, it doesn't matter how you feel, right? And the decisions you make when you come between a crossroad, you just think a lot sharper. You know, you're not like, oh, will I enjoy this? Well, is this something, you know, that would be fun? Do you get what I'm saying?
To be honest, for me, I'm like, if you're making the decisions based on what's the most fun, it's like you're not thinking the right way about it.
Exactly. Like your perspective needs to change.
Honestly, like you got to think again, like what's the objective, what's the overall outcome, what kind of lifestyle do you want? And are you willing to forego the pain to get there in comparison to the pain of not having it?
Was that
right?
Exactly.
Don't care about the fun. Who cares? The fun will come, the passion will come once you get results, right? Focus on the results, make sure it's a worthy ideal, and eat shit.
Just like do what needs to be done to get to where you need to be.
Tell yourself that it's not going to be fun because you're going to brace for it.
And that's okay.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine. It doesn't have to be
It doesn't have to be enjoyable. Like, you're not going to enjoy all components of the business.
No.
You know, you're not going to enjoy all components of fitness. You're not going to love every meal. You're not going to love every session, and that's normal.
And that's why it's like, it's not about happiness, it's about fulfillment. If we wake up morning tonight, I'm gonna do absolutely everything that we can. Even if it sucks, I can sleep at night knowing and feeling sad
That you did your best.
Yeah, I can fall asleep being like, damn, I did what I knew I could have done today. Wasn't
Like,
fine.
you put in your entire ability
Yeah.
to increase the likelihood of success.
And that feeling, honestly, is way better than feeling happy. it's actually just better, and the results are better. So now you've got something worth for it.
See, that's what I thought initially, and like, I don't get me wrong, I believe that's a great mindset to accomplish great things. But success differentiates a lot from person to person. And Gary Vee says it.
Yeah.
Success doesn't necessarily mean money, fame, or whatever that might be. Success is defined by your desires. If you take a job that you enjoy, and your definition of success is happiness, right? And, you know, you might take a pay cut of 10 to 20%, but you enjoy it more, you enjoy going there more. Yeah, look, you might not be making as much, but you're happy. Can that mean success? Do you know what I mean?
So it's not the shoot progression towards a worthy ideal. And that worthy ideal is whatever you did is was ugly. Not anything else.
There's nothing wrong. Like, if you prefer working a 9 to 5 and you enjoy that, and you much rather that than start your own business, not something I would like to do, but I'm not saying it's not okay to do.
Yeah, no.
I mean, for you, that's success. For me, not really, right? I mean, I wouldn't be happy doing that, because I know the outcome that I want cannot be achieved through those actions.
You know what's funny? And this is where there's just levels to this game. Like, because none of it matters.
Yeah, none of it.
Like, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Like, none of it matters. And that's the funny thing. It's just like, you can live this life however you want to live it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, literally, you want to do your 9 to 5, do your 9 to 5.
That's one thing I've realized, right? Like,
It's that perspective that really keeps...
we are going to die anyways. So really, all you're doing is trying to find ways to spend the next 50 years of your life.
Exactly.
That's it. So if you can survive the next 50 years, nothing else really matters.
So how do you want the process to look?
Exactly.
That's just really what
Look, the end goal really is to die.
the end goal.
Right.
The fact that there is no end goal.
Like, we're gonna die. It's like, it's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to, what will the next 50 years look like?
Exactly.
Do I want to live miserably?
Yeah.
Do I want to live comfortably?
Yes.
Do I want to live abundantly?
And that's why I think you do have to find that balance between like that progression and pursuit, that satisfaction, and then finding ways to implement that emotional bucket too, right? Like,
Exactly.
I think you do have to find a way, and I do believe there's times to really like double down on one area more and then the other area.
It comes to season.
Yeah, there's seasons to it. So there's no like one way, and I think growing up, I always was trying to find out that perfect way. And I'm like, obviously, older that we get, we realize that there's never like one way. It's literally life by design.
It's crazy. Like, your perspectives shift so much.
Like, perspective change, and I think
Actually, I don't think it comes down to age, and it comes down to experience.
yeah,
Even though we're in our 20s, 24, 25, I believe that our perspective is so different to a lot of 30 to 40-year-olds.
yeah.
And I get that a lot. I'm sure you do.
Because we seek answers, right? Like, if you are actually curious and you seek answers, you accelerate your learning curve a lot faster than most people who are 40 and are still technically 20 mentally, right?
Yeah.
So I think you have to seek it. You have to be willing to experience a little bit of pain, a little bit of suffering. Like, you have to, and put yourself in uncomfortable positions to grow mentally, to grow physically.
There's no growth in
then
effort.
Yeah, it's just like the metaphor of like, you got to throw the kid in the pool to learn how to swim sometimes, right?
You throw a kid in the pool, and if they drown, they drown, right?
You got to be willing to take some risks.
You do.
Not be idiot about it.
Yeah.
But like,
Calculated risks, I like to call it. Run the numbers, run the logistics, see whether or not it's achievable.
Like, when I made the biggest shift in like going into the online space, I first of all was in my hometown, Sydney. That's where I grew up, right? That's where we met. Yeah. And I was obviously doing PT in the gym. I had online, but I wasn't like all in, right? It was like on the side.
Yeah.
And the only time I really went online was when I had a friend invite me to into the Gold Coast. And back then, like, my online was only kind of just starting, right? So I didn't technically have everything, the foundations laid out in place where I had confidence. Yeah. And it was something that it was like a 4 week. It was like a 4 week notice. I had to make a decision in like 1 to 2 weeks to leave my job and like absolutely just go into online, right?
Take that leap of faith.
I had to take it, but it was a calculated leap of faith. I was doing the numbers.
You know what's funny? You're exactly right. Like, we think the problems are so much bigger in our heads.
I know.
It's so much.
In reality, like, and this is what I had to tell myself, right? Because obviously I had to leave the job. I had to leave my family. Like, it literally in like 2 weeks notice. I was like, guys, I'm gone.
I did the same thing similarly.
Yeah.
Melbourne.
But worst case,
You just go back. What happens, like people are so, this is the thing I always say to people, right? People are so scared of making investments or investing in a coach, investing in a mentor. And then you sit there, you ask them, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you spend this $1,000, $2,000?
invest though. It's not even spending.
But that's what I said, like invest, right? What happens? Do you starve the next day? Do you go homeless? Like what is the worst case? Like what is the worst outcome of this situation?
Paychecks always come by. Like
Probably not.
always going to be another paycheck coming in. But time is something you never get back.
I always say there's two main currencies in life, right? You either pay with time or you pay with money.
Yep.
You use money to leverage time, or if you don't have the money, you use time to learn the skills, which will take you a lot longer. Now imagine having access to knowledge, tools, resources, and skill set a lot faster, allowing you to leverage your skill set and make more money.
I'm just using that. This is an example, right? People who are wealthy, people who are not, right? You speak to people who are not wealthy, they're going to spend their time. You speak to people who are wealthy, they'll spend their money, right? You speak to someone who's wealthy and you want to give them a solution to a problem. They're just like, all right, how much is it? Boom, paid for, I've already transferred it, done. That's the combo. You speak to someone who doesn't have money, it's like, oh, like, so what am I, like, there's such a big deal. Like, you got to realize it's because the wealthy people understand the value of time. You know?
And at this point, it's like you need to really capitalize on what you're good at. In my head, if I suck at doing something, for example, I don't know, there's a lot of things I suck at, but let's just say I much rather just spend the money because I can make that back than have to spend hours learning a new skill set. For example, creating a website. I much rather pay a company a couple $1,000s than me learn how to build it out because I probably will never do it and the task will never get done. And that alone will cost me a lot of money.
And I think there's merit to some things that you should learn though. Like, if it's something that's really, let's say in a business point of view, right? Let's say it's something that's bringing all the money in. You should probably learn it, right? Because if you delegate it and they're not doing a good job, you don't know.
You don't know what to
And that, I had to learn that lesson, by the way. I literally learned it. I was doing mistakes. I delegated it too early.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I was just throwing cash down the drain. Yeah. I was just like, this is not right. I took over. As soon as I took over, because I knew the thing is, right, I know my business better than anyone, right? It's my business. I know who I work with, the kind of clientele that I have. And when I delegated that to someone in an important area, right? And this is the key differentiator. It's like you delegate to things that it's like it's not that important and it's not the best.
low leveraging time.
Exactly, right? But you got to focus on the high leverage things yourself because at the same time, it's like, if you know that the best and it's the highest leverage thing, it's like you do want to be a bit more hands-on with that and then delegate the unimportant things so you can double down on those.
That's why I teach a lot of my students anyways. I'm like, you really need to get the fundamentals right, understand the services that you're selling, how you're selling those services, what operations, what systems, what protocols you have in place. So in the future, when you delegate tasks, you're able to train up your employees, your staff efficiently. And if something goes wrong, you can step in and be like, this is how we resolve that problem. Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing and you delegate again too early, you're not going to know, like, who are you going to go to fix those problems? You know? And that's, again, something I had to learn as well.
That's why it's important to work with someone on a personal level. Like I've come to realize, like, if I ever get a mentor, if they don't know you in the place that you're at in business, you can't have relevant advice. Like a YouTube video is not enough.
It's like going up to a fitness coach and asking, hey man, I'm 5'7" and I eat 3,000 calories. Should I cut or bulk?
Yes, it's like,
I don't know.
Yeah. Like what's the injury? Like what part of the journey are you in right now? What's the context?
There's so many other variables.
The rate of progress you want to have. Like,
so yeah. Like how long have you been eating 3,000 calories for? How does your body composition look? How much weight are you losing? How do you feel? Yeah. There's so many moving components. You need to accumulate, again, data for you to make changes and decisions.
Yeah. And the stakes get higher. Obviously, let's say if you're talking about your business or whatever it is, it's like, if you're going to recklessly take on advice that's not contextual for you, the consequences are larger.
100%. The core component and the core philosophy to everything is go in, give it a crack, fuck up, do it again, get better at it. Yeah.
And ideally have someone who's done it the way that you like, way you want to be.
That would, I would say,
they can minimize.
I would say that's an addition. If you have the financial means and resources, 100,000%.
And or if you have the option to get around the people and just can't provide value to them, you're not just
exactly.
Yeah, like
that's a good point.
It's got to be a tit to tat, right? But you are who you hang around too. So if you're hanging around bums, you're going to be a bum. You know, like if you want to get in shape, ideally find a way to get in the circle of these people, because you're going to be influenced, whether you like it or not, right? You will be influenced by
fit people hang out with fit people, rich people hang out with rich people. And that's one thing I've been talking to you, right? The reason I have such a small group of circle is because I don't feel understood by a lot of people. The jokes we make, you know, they're so niched, and we reiterate and use sales analogies, which is funny to us. But to other people, they won't understand it because they haven't.
It's just like a different species.
They don't
observing the species, and they're like, what the hell?
like they don't because they haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's why you need to develop yourself as fast as possible so you can enter these rooms
Exactly.
and belong.
Always think about what can you offer them, not what you can take from them.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a rich guy to be in a rich room. You don't have to be a famous guy to be in a room of famous people.
And the funniest part is, if you go in and you're like, I'm not going to take anything, I'm just going to give value. Guess what? Just by being around them, you're getting value.
Act of goodwill, right?
Just like their company is already valuable. So it's like, don't come in with that take mentality. Focus on serving and the well-defined.
Because the perspectives alone that you'll gather from being surrounded by these people, the way they operate. Like, for example, you came over, I'm just watching you pace around the house, taking random fucking phone calls. I'm like, wow, I should probably be doing that. And likewise, you woke up and like, what?
Yeah, look, I woke up late because I had a very...
No, but me. I love how you became so defensive about it.
Yeah, because my ego, like, I'm going to do more. And I woke up and Alice is like, already done 5 hours. And I'm just like...
I'm like, I've been out from 5:30 in the morning. It was like, what, 9:30?
Like, I don't wake up that late.
You know what I mean? And then it's just like, we have different strengths, we have different weaknesses, but we can learn it. Seeing that, you start to think, maybe this is why I'm not where I want to be.
It's so true though, because like, I think we all do it, even we do it, right? Like, we all have some kind of superiority complex, right? To a degree, like we think we're doing enough, or we think like we're harder workers.
We think we're doing, yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's the same time as like, we're not good enough.
Yeah, at the same time, like, there's a balance of it, but there's also degrees of that side, right? Yeah. And then when you actually see someone who's like, let's say he's ahead of you, it's a slap in the face, right? Because you're just like, wait, I thought I was a hard worker. He's already been doing 5 hours.
Yeah.
And he went to bed. Or like, and he went to bed later than me.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Yeah.
He slept later, woke up earlier, and I'm just like, damn, I thought I was a hard worker.
Yeah. But then at the same time, you've got to keep in mind, what do those hours look like? What is the quality of output work? Because quantity of hours doesn't mean you have the outcome is refined. For example, if you go to the gym, spend 5 hours, I go to the gym, spend 1 hour, that doesn't mean your 5-hour session is better than mine. My 1 hour session was probably better than yours. Again, quality of input equals quality of output.
Yeah, it's like get the quality down, and then once you've got the quality down, if you can do more of the quality, there's content.
And always work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
More sets doesn't mean more results.
Yeah.
You know,